People, it's about that time. We are here waiting on you.
Hi.
Hello, Facebook. We have a word for you tonight.
Build that audience. Get your friends on. Share this.
All right, let me share. Share this.
Share. Lisa, you're not going on with your phone, T?
I am going to share this right now.
It is
No, I'm saying for the
2017,
relationship
and
movement.
we've got a word for you tonight. So share it. Get your friends on. Get your family on.
We'll wait on you. They're looking for the relationship movement.
I'm doing it right now.
Aha.
We are live.
Where you put your phone?
Keep sharing. Keep sharing. Keep
We're going to
sharing.
actually give y'all a few minutes to come on. We're waiting for you. We are waiting for you. Is that Lisa Johnson? I can see from a distance. What's up, Lisa J? Hey, y'all show some love. You know, show some love. Show some love on the screen. We're actually just getting situated.
Yep, I'm sharing your. Wait, you just went live.
These computer young ladies here. Oh,
We're
there you
sharing.
go,
We're
T.
sharing.
Y'all looking okay.
We're sharing on my page.
All right, share it with your friends.
Yeah, y'all hit share now. Come on now, get your friends on. We're not gonna start till we get 1,000 people on here.
Okay.
So we're gonna be sitting here waiting all night till we get 1,000 people. 1,000. Lisa J, you can put all of Calhoun County on here now. All you gotta do is share yours. Nicole, go share it so the island people can hear what we gotta say.
All right, I just shared to my page. So come on and join the movement.
T, share it to the More Relationship Movement
I
page.
did.
Oh, okay, cool.
She already did it.
All right, we on it then.
We're on it.
We're coming from 3 different places tonight. My page, my Relationship Movement page, Elisa Sanders' page, and Dr. T on, okay, yeah.
I'm sharing. I'm sharing. I'm sharing.
Hello, everybody. On a serious note, we appreciate y'all coming on. We're going to get started in a minute or so, just trying to give a few more people a chance to get on. We are excited, and we're waiting to talk to you tonight. This is the Dream Team.
The dream team. Okay.
Dream Team. I look okay, T?
You look great, honey.
Okay, thank you. I look okay? At
You
least
look
y'all shower.
Thank you.
All right. I'm saying nothing else.
You ready to get started, honey?
Yes, I'm waiting to get started. You waiting to get started, Lisa?
I'm waiting.
All right, we're waiting on you then.
All right.
Whenever y'all ready, it's no problem. We got time.
Yep, we're live.
We are live.
Hi, everybody. We are so glad that you joined us. We can't wait for more of you all to join. Get everybody here so that you can hear the great things that we're talking about tonight. Now, tonight, as you can see, we have a great topic. We know we ventured over into the new year, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, it's a new year and a new me, and everybody's kind of ready to jump into everything new relationships, new jobs, new everything. But a lot of times, the jump off isn't quite what it needs to be because there are some things that have followed us out the previous year, some old things that have traveled into the new year. And so a lot of times we get discouraged because as those of you know, here in Albany, our new year jumped off kind of rough. You know, we had a storm to come in and sweep through. And so that's just an example of how you can come into the new year with a new attitude and new expectations. But when a storm hits, if you haven't decided to shift your mindset, that a storm can knock you all the way backwards. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, our topic is the new me can't live because the old me won't die. Now, I'll open this up by saying this. Those of you Bible scholars will be able to follow me here. There is this passage that talks about trying to put new wine in old wineskins. Well, what happens is if you try to take new wine and put it in an old wine bottle, it will break. Let me explain why. Wine does something called develop. it matures, it grows, it broadens itself, it ages. And so when you try to take wine that was made for a certain wine bottle and then it's aged and it's matured, and you try to take that old wine and import it into something new, the bottle is going to break because it no longer has the capacity to hold the newness. And so a lot of times what happens in life is we will have decided, we've matured, we've grown, we've developed, we have a new mindset, a new identity, but then we try to fit back into our old lives, our old ways, and then stuff starts breaking. Our relationship breaks, our sanity breaks, our friendships break, things start breaking because here we are mature, here we are, have developed a different sense of who we are, a different identity, but we try to stuff that newness back into some old wineskins, and something is going to be damaged if you do not figure out a way to get new wineskins that can contain and that can detain the newness that you have to put in it. So one of the things we're going to open up talking about is, it's all night we're going to be talking about the old versus the new. And so when we say that the new me can't live because the old me won't die, a lot of times we'll say, I have a new attitude and I got a new mindset. But there are some telltale signs, and I'm going to let Dr. T talk about how you can really tell whether the mindset you have is really new or if you're really still holding on to your old mindset. Talk to us about that.
There are two types of mindsets. One is called the fixed mindset. One is called the growth mindset. Here's an example of a fixed mindset. I'll never lose weight. Here's an example of a growth mindset. I'm going to lose 2 pounds a week by exercising and eating right.
Wow.
So when you change your mindset, the first thing you have to do is change actions.
There you go.
And a lot of times what we do is that when we end the year, we ended 2016, the mind was ready to move, but we didn't put actions to it. And so one of the things that you're going to have to begin this year, if you say that 2017 is a new year and you're going to kill the old you, bury the old you, leave the old you in 2016, and introduce the new you in 2017, not only are you going to have a growth mindset, but we're going to have to put actions to those words.
I love that. So we're going to pass it on to you. Give us some enlightenment about how can we tell when our actions and our mindset are matching or not matching. We're going into a new year, and let's take a relationship because this is the relationship movement. And we're saying, I have a new attitude. I have changed my mind. Well, I'm almost certain that the people you deal with, they can tell whether you are really, you don't have to wear a t-shirt that said new me. Something will tell on you. Talk to us about how our actions really tell on us.
Let me first start also by saying that you have to have, well, let me say it like this. We all have great intentions of changing, of having a new mindset, new attitude. But again, as Tracy just spoke about, we have to really get to the point where we understand actions. Your actions are going to tell it all.
Yep.
Because we can be in a relationship, and a relationship, well, we'll say it like this. 2016, we went out, we said we're not going into 2017 with that same mindset, the same bag. We're going to do something different. But your actions are going to have to tell it, meaning simply this, that if you start seeing the same patterns after about a week or so, that says that that person, their mindset really has not changed, because we can talk about it initially and we'll start off with a bang, if you will, but then we start going back to our comfort zones of what we're comfortable with. But you got to get to the point where your mindset changes. Not only your mindset changes, but your actions have to change along with it.
You know what? I love that. I was just talking to one of my friends a couple of weeks ago, and I call it the merry-go-round concept. And it really fits with this whole thing. I was saying a lot of times, children love merry-go-rounds. If you've ever been to a fair, you saw a merry-go-round. What attracts a child to a merry-go-round is a couple of things. It's colorful. Things are moving. There's music. There's excitement. What happens is a child will get on the merry-go-round and get excited because it's going up and down. They're seeing things, and it's magical to them. Now, an adult is not going to have much tolerance for a merry-go-round.
Right.
I'll tell you why. Number one, a merry-go-round goes through too many changes. It's not stable. You're up 1 second, you're down 1 second. That little horse, it takes you up, and then it takes you right back down. It never levels off. Secondly, you're going to get dizzy because you keep seeing the same environment. Every time you look, the music doesn't change. You looked at that, and guess what? A few minutes later, you're going to look at that same thing again. At some point, you're going to want to get off. You're moving, but you're in motion, but you're not moving. And so it is in relationships and in life with old mindsets. If you get on the merry-go-round of an old mindset, mindset, you'll be attracted to someone or something because it's colorful and it's magical, and then you'll get on that ride and things aren't stable. You're just going up and down. You know why you can't get off? Because the minute you get too low and say, I'm done with this thing, I'm ready to change my mind, but there's a high. So whoa, wait a minute, this thing might work. You're not taking notice that the environment is never shifting. You're not going anywhere but up and down. There's no stability. And so a lot of times we get stuck on the merry-go-round of relationships and the merry-go-round of old mindsets, and we get so caught up, but at least we're in motion, but you're not moving. You're like a car stuck in a rut. There's the engine is going, everything is kind of, but if you don't watch it, that engine's going to shut down because too much energy is being put in motion and not movement. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We have to also remember that when we talk about our relationships, one of the main focus that we have here on the My Relationship movement is that change begins with me.
That's right.
It doesn't begin with the people that I'm in relationship with. It begins with me. So when we talk about burying the old and leaving the old in 2016 and moving to the new me in 2017, we have to focus on me first. What are the things that I bring to the table? What are some things that I need to leave in 2016?
That's right.
What are some things that I need to bury that were not prosperous in 2016? What are the relationships? One of the live broadcasts that we talked about, Lawrence, you gave us 3 things that friends and people in a relationship with us should do. What were those 3 things?
Oh, the 3 things that we talked about the other week were elevate, educate, and evaluate.
That's right.
And I think that first, again, has to start with us. We need to be educating ourselves. We need to be trying to get to the point where we elevate ourselves, go a little bit higher than you were in 2016. And then you always also want to evaluate yourself. And the reason being, again, the more stable you are, the less you'll put up with foolishness from somebody else.
Absolutely.
So the new you has to take on a new identity because you have to get to the point where you value yourself. And that word value is going to always come up in our conversation, because when you value yourself, you'll find yourself not putting up with stuff that you would normally put up with because you're having a better sense of self now. And you're saying to yourself, okay, I know I'm better than this.
That's right.
I'm supposed to be treated like a queen. And so unless you get to the point where you start loving on yourself more, the new you will never take place.
That's right. I'll say something because I always come in and empower. One of the things that happened before we can even talk about the old me and the new me, a lot of times we think addressing ourselves by what's old and what's new has to do with what we're doing. We kind of get off because we're looking at our actions. And it's not just our actions. A lot of times at our core, we haven't figured out who we are. What will he just said something that was powerful. What are my no-goes? I'm just that I will absolutely not take that. And so a lot of times we get into
non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables. And so there was a phrase that I learned a couple of years ago called compromised failure. And so what they're saying is you didn't just fail because you weren't good at it or you couldn't do it. You failed because instead of figuring out this is what I will or won't do, every time something comes up you say, I can probably compromise on that. And then you compromise so much that you actually never get to who you are or what it is that you're trying to do because you're so busy compromising and you don't succeed anyway. And so because we always talk about us being our first investment has to be, who am I? Right. So forget old me and new me, who am I? And because like we were talking about that wine maturing, we can't go into the new year saying, well, I know what I don't like and I know what I like. Well, when you reevaluate that, is that still true? Because it might have been that somewhere along the line you realize that the people you liked so much last year, they don't really click with you this year. Or you might realize, well, I'm always going out to such and such and I'm always visiting here. Does that really interest me like it used to? And so there are a lot of times where you're trying to be the new you, but you haven't sat and evaluated the you right now to figure out were those things that did it work? Did I flunk? Did that benefit me at all? And so when you start figuring out what worked, what didn't, you'll say, this I'll keep. Because there are some things that we did well with. There are some things that we figured out, we got our self-esteem under control, or we got past people and what they had to say. We figured out what hair worked for us. We figured out what color worked for us. We figured out who we couldn't deal with and who we could. So there are a lot of things we did correctly. Now, those things we want to keep and take with us. But however, there are some things that absolutely did not work. And the good news is you don't have to carry that stuff over into the new year. The great part about being an individual is you are at liberty to change your mind. You are at liberty to enhance yourself, to evolve, and to keep growing. And anything and anyone that tries to stunt that, that means if you're not progressive, you're going to regress and you're going to go back to something that you might not want to take. And so let's talk about the dangers of falling back, because I know a lot of times what we do, we're our biggest critic.
Oh, yeah.
And so we will have a mindset about going forward and I'm going to do this. And then let's say we flunk. And how do we figure out what's making us keep mess up? If we're still going back to that same guy that keeps cheating or hurting our feelings, or if we keep saying that that's not good for me, but I keep sneaking and doing it anyway, what is the trigger? How do we figure out what those triggers are? How do we get ourselves from that old to that new?
Right. We have, when you were saying all of that, there are two images that came to mind. A string and a rubber band.
Oh, wow.
Okay? The rubber band, if you think about it, a rubber band, you can stretch it and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it to the point to where it breaks.
It will break.
But if you put too much pressure on it, it snaps back. Okay? But with a string, it just keeps going and going and going and going. And eventually, what happens with the string? It runs out.
It runs out.
Okay? But what is one thing that you can do with a string and a rubber band?
What's that?
Cut them.
Wow.
Ooh,
That's good.
you're
You
good,
can
girl.
cut them. So when we look at our relationships, when we as women, I'm gonna talk about us ladies, okay? Because I'm in the
Talk about
same boat. What is it about a man that keeps you going back, even though you know he's toxic? We have not gained enough strength to either identify that we're in a relationship that causes us to snap back. Because what happens when you snap a rubber band on you? It's
It
sting
hurts.
and it hurts.
It hurts.
Okay? Think about that relationship with that man that's toxic. When you snap back to that relationship, there's always a sting and a hurt.
Wow.
And-
Always.
Wow.
And
Go
the thing
ahead,
about
Ann.
it is at those times when you snap back, you actually end up hurting yourself more than you end up hurting the other person, because the other person can live with what he's doing because he's obviously keeps doing it. And at the same time, if you're the only one getting hurt by going back, that says that your mindset has not developed enough to where you are willing to take the actions necessary to go to that next place with yourself first.
Right.
And that's the critical part, is getting to the point where you think about helping yourself first and not continuously injuring yourself by going back.
Right. Because when you're on an airplane, they always tell you to put the mask on yourself first
That's right.
and then help somebody else.
That's right.
And what we as women do, we never put the mask on ourselves first. We always give and give and give until we're out of oxygen, and we're wondering why we're strangling, and he's walking around and he's fine. We have no air because we've given him everything that we've had.
That's right. That's powerful. A few weeks ago, I don't know if you all caught it, I did a 2017 must-have inner beauty routine. And one of the things that I said, if you didn't get a chance, you can go to my
Go look at
relationship
it.
movement and watch that. I came to the table very transparent. I didn't have any makeup. I said, you know what? I was thinking about something. Every day, our face goes through drama. Whether we feel it or know it or not, we deal with the elements of the wind and sand and the sun, people's germs, folks sneezing around us. We touching stuff and then put our hands on our face. Our face is dealing with stuff all the time.
Right.
But somewhere in our head, we know that subconsciously, because before we go to bed, we wash our face. Why don't we do that emotionally every day?
That's good.
And so my question was, why don't I see all these routines, these beauty routines, how to wake up like this, and you know, how to quick 5-minute get it together, but I never see anybody talking about where's the inner beauty routine? And I said, so just like with our face, a lot of times soap and water doesn't do the trick. A lot of times trying to get into this new me and this old me is, we just think it's surface stuff. So we just put soap and water over our face, and then we find that if we take a cloth after that and wipe over it, there's residue. There's residue. And so I said, because our face every day sheds, whether we see it or not, there's some dead skin on our faces. And if we don't exfoliate, and she said something, when rubber bands snap, they don't feel good. Well, when you exfoliate, that's not a good process. It's scrubbing, because something rough is going against your little tender skin, and it's harsh, and it does not feel good. But you know why it's necessary? Because there's some dead skin that's not going to leave you by itself.
Right.
Dead skin doesn't just fall away. You have to put an effort and get rid of it yourself. And then the sad part about it is, once you've exfoliated, what's left is skin that is vulnerable. That skin is exposed and it is raw. And if you don't decide, wait a minute, if I have scrubbed away all the things that have hurt me and caused my skin to be dead in last year, then I can't go into the new year vulnerable. What am I going to do? How will I equip myself with covering those things that have been left raw and vulnerable, so that I don't face those same elements trying to use the same kind of stuff again?
You made me think about something when you're talking about this exfoliating. I was actually thinking about when I had a restaurant, a guy across the street had this huge boa constrictor. And every year, this snake would shed its skin. And once it shedded its skin, it moved to another place because it didn't want to stay
Wow.
where he shedded his skin. And in that analogy, it made me think about when she was saying that. Many times we, as she was saying, don't want to exfoliate. We want to stay in the same place that we were, but you got to do like a snake. When he sheds his skin, he moves to another place. When you find some stuff that's in your life that's toxic, that's not working, you've got to just shed it and then move away. That's the thing that you got to do in the relationship of your own, for yourself rather, and then to move to another place of healthy.
So basically,
relationship.
you're saying we have to create new habits.
That's
New
right.
habits.
New habits and new relationships.
That's right.
One of the things I was telling a friend the other day is, I'm 46.
Don't tell your age.
I look good, don't I? And I was saying, at this point in my life, I don't think that I'm looking for friendships as much as I'm looking for iron that will sharpen iron.
That's good.
And so when we talk about creating new habits, there are some things that I had to let go of, some beliefs about myself,
There you go.
some beliefs about my inability to do things, and the fixed mindset that I had about some things, to say, you know what, moving forward, because I need some people in my life who are iron, who can sharpen my iron, because iron sharpens iron. What is it that I'm looking forward to in these new relationships that will make me grow and become a better person? And so there are some things that I have to leave behind. There are some people that I'm going to have to leave behind. There are some new habits that I'm going to have to form. And it takes 21 days to create a new habit. But one of the things that Lawrence always says is that the hardest thing you will ever do is unlearn something that you've learned.
Oh, yeah.
It's easier to create a new habit.
That's right.
It's extremely hard to let go of a bad habit.
That is correct. She said something, and I couldn't help but think, if you're going to form new habits, and she was saying leaving some of those old relationships and rediscovering there are some things she can do and not do, there's a comfort zone that has to be left. That means if I'm bringing a new me into this year, well, everybody that might have been hanging on to me, or that circle of mine that was comfortable, might not necessarily enhance the person that I am right now. So there may be somebody that I've loved since childhood, and we've gotten to a certain point. A lot of times we're mourning for things that we need to just say our benediction to, instead of just sitting there saying, oh my goodness, what happened? Hey, may the Lord watch. I want you to be healthy and happy, and let the Lord shine on you and keep you, because that doesn't mean they were not valuable to you. That just means time served. And so
Absolutely.
what you look at is, that's just like if you have children and you go and you buy, I have my one god baby, and every year when I'm looking at things, I don't just buy things for him where he is. I buy things for him where he's going. And the other thing I do is I buy things that are age appropriate, because one thing I learned, if he is turning 3, then if I get him something that's for 5 to 7 year olds, that's too far out there, he can't conceptualize that, and it's going to bore him. Or if I get something for 0 to 6 months, that's I have no interest in that. That's not going to retain his attention. And so some grown people are walking around with babies around them. Babies and grown people don't eat the same food. One of y'all don't formula, and one of y'all needs something out of a little jar mushed up, and I eat steak. And so how can we go out and order food together? They don't even carry that on the menu at this restaurant. And so a lot of times but it's comfortable. So a lot of times when we try to get the new us, the old us won't die because we keep feeding into what captures the old us. And so a lot of times it's not that old habits won't die. It's just that whatever you feed is going to grow.
That's it.
Is that not correct?
It made me think of a chapter in my book. The chapter is called "If It Don't Fit, Don't Force It." If it doesn't fit, don't force it. And just as in your analogy, one of the things that we always try to do is make someone fit who really has served their time.
Wow.
And it's almost like you get to the point where you're saying, well, I'm going to make this work. You can't force. It's like doing a puzzle. If there's one piece missing, you can't force it into a spot that it doesn't belong.
Right.
I don't care how well you want it to fit, it will not fit. And sometimes we have a hard time coming to the realization, you know what, I want to let it go. I know it's not working. But again, that mindset just won't let you go. And we want to get to the point of sharing with you tonight how you can get to the point of letting the old you go so the new you can live.
One of the things I do with clients in my private practice is we create a 2-column sheet. First column says who I am, who I would like to be is the second column. So we talk about the things that, well, I am, whatever it is. I'm a mom, I'm unemployed, or I'm employed at a job I don't like, or all of those things. In the next column, dream and dream big. If failure didn't mean if failure is out the window, if you had all the money in the world, what would be the things that you could do? Well, I'd go back to school, or I would move from the city that I live in because I don't feel. And so when you sit down and you really compare those two lists together, there's not a huge gap between where you are and where you want to be when you put it on paper. And so one of the things that I firmly believe in is being able to create lists and being a visual person and really taking an introspective look at who I am and where I'm trying to go.
That's powerful. I'm going to share this story. I've been debating, should I share the story? But I got to. It's hilarious. But it's so applicable to what we're talking about now. And I don't take credit for it. I was watching a sermon online. This preacher was talking about relationships. And I don't watch a lot of TV, so I just went to the transcript to read it. But there was this great story he told about his friend. One day, his friend and his family decided to travel. And they had one son. The son had never traveled before. As a little boy, had ever traveled with them. So he'd never been on the plane. So they get to the airport, and they're waiting in the station, just kind of waiting at the little airport in their terminal to go. And the little boy says, wait, I have to go to the bathroom. Daddy, you need to take me to the bathroom. So the dad says, well, come on, let me take you to the bathroom. They go to the bathroom, and the little boy says, hey, I know how to use a bathroom. I got it. So the dad says, that's fine. He waits outside of the stall for the little boy. Now, this little boy is in there a long time. And the dad is waiting. You okay? I'm okay. So he's waiting. Finally, the little boy says, Daddy, I need some help. And his dad said, why? He said, well, this toilet isn't like the one at home. I can't flush. I can't get the stuff to go down the drain. It won't go down the drain. And the daddy says, see, son, you used to what's at home trying to use the effort and flush it. In this kind of terminal, this is new age. This is upgraded. If you want the stuff to go down, walk away. Turn your back on it and walk away, and it'll flush automatically. Well, that thing blessed me because what it said was the old us put all this effort trying to make crap get out of our lives and trying to flush away all the effort. All the effort. We put a whole lot of effort into trying to flush out bad habits, flush out bad mindsets, flush out bad relationships, flush out bad decisions that we made. But we've matured. This is the new age. Things have progressed. We've evolved. So some stuff, instead of all the technology and the effort that we're putting in, we just need to turn our back on it and walk away from it. Wow. And it seems like the simplest thing to do, but the mindset to say, that crap will handle itself. Right. I got other things I could be doing. So when that little boy decided to turn around as he was walking away, do you know what he heard? Flesh. Because that stuff was getting rid of itself. So a lot of times we're trying to entangle ourselves in the process of getting rid of when we could simply avert our eyes to what we need to be looking forward and stop looking over our shoulders at what's behind us and let that flesh itself out.
That's great. I think we need to do a benediction right about that. I don't even know what else to say after that. That's like the closing story. So you got the message.
You got the
If
message.
you want the new you to come alive, flush.
And
No.
walk away.
No.
Turn your back and walk
Turn your
away.
back on it, walk away, and that mess will take care of itself.
Stop living in the old. Walk away.
Listen, we are so glad you guys joined us tonight. We want you all to be looking forward to some great things that we have coming up in the very, very near future. We are excited about helping, equipping. We are excited about empowering. We are excited about enlightening you guys. And we really, really, really want to hear from you all. So we want to make sure that you guys aren't just getting this information and keeping it to yourself. We want you to share it so that we can know that we are being impactful in your life.
Don't stop, y'all.
That was my little commercial I was throwing out to, so share, tell everybody about the movement, join.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So what I was going to say is make sure that you come back to our page. We've got some really great stuff on our page. We've got videos to help you out. We're going to put some new videos out there on some new topics and new subjects. But we want to hear from you. You've got questions. You've got comments. You got a topic that you want us to discuss. We want to hear from you. You guys, we want to empower you. We want to enlighten. We want to equip. And the only way we can do that is to hear from you.
That's right. One of the things, I don't know if you all saw, I took the end of my makeup tutorial and did a 60-second affirmation. And what I said was, and this has a lot to do with the new and the old, what I said was, I'm not a makeup artist, even though I was talking about a skin regimen. I was saying I didn't have tips for what colors to paint your eyes and what colors to paint on your lips. But I did have some things that you could do with your eyes. A lot of times, we try to go into the new us, but we're seeing ourselves the old way. So a lot of times we'll be looking in the mirror and you think you're just seeing your reflection, but a lot of times what you're doing is you're looking at your past mistakes. You're looking at the mistake you made. You're looking at what you didn't do correctly. You're looking at the opportunity that you missed instead of looking at what you still have yet to do. Instead of looking at what you could still get right. Instead of looking at who you have yet to become. And so a lot of things that we can leave in the past, the reason the old me won't die is because we keep resurrecting them up every time we look in the mirror. And so what happens is our reflection becomes our worst nightmare. Instead of it becoming the thing that empowers us and that restores us and gives us hope to move on, it's the thing like, oh God, I don't even want to look at my life where it is now. But where you are right now isn't your permanent location. It's just a holding place that's gearing you up. You getting the right essentials to the next one. And so I said on the site, I said, see yourself powerful, see yourself strong, see yourself healthy, see yourself happy, see yourself doing things that you didn't do before. And then I said, and with your mouth, a lot of times we know that death and life, it lies in the power of our tongue. Whatever a man thinks, he'll say. And so a lot of people just say, well, he'll be whatever he is. He'll also be whatever he says he is. And so if I say that I'm a failure, I'm going to fail. If I say I can't do it, I will not. If I say I'm going to flunk again, I'm flunking because my mind is going to go in the direction that I'm talking about. So whatever I keep rehearsing to myself, what happens is it's traveling from my mouth to my ear, from my ear to my consciousness, from my consciousness to my actions. And so I will be led by the very things that I think and that I say. And it begins, and the way this works is I see it, I form an opinion about it. That opinion comes out of my mouth, and then my actions follow right behind it. So if we don't see ourselves different, then we can't say who we really are. And so then we have to say, I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am wealthy. I will not fail. I will make it. I am happy and content. I do have more life ahead of me. We have to start saying those things instead of saying, oh, I messed up. Oh, I'll never get out of this. Oh, that will not work. Oh, let me figure out when I'm going to flunk again. Those things are not getting us from and so the old me, we're trying to kill it and resurrect it at the same time. Have you ever tried to push and pull somebody at the same time? I don't want you, but I'm holding on to you. Go away, but wait, hold on a minute. Because we're still being wayward. We're still vacillating. And so if we want the old me to die, then we have to pronounce the benediction over the old us and say, no, I'm not a failure. So I'm pronouncing the benediction over failure. I am not a failure. Now, I might have not gotten that right, but I just see that as an opportunity to do something different next time. And so we have to turn our words into weapons.
The one thing I want to say from Judges chapter 6, Gideon is actually hiding during a particular time from the Midianites in Judges chapter 6. And the angel of God goes to Gideon and calls him a mighty warrior while he's hiding in the wine press from the Midianites. So the one thing that I want you to hear, and I'm piggybacking off what Miss Elisa just said, you have to see yourself the way God sees you also. Because God says to Gideon, you mighty man of valor. The moral of that story was God never sees you in your right now. He always sees you in your not yet. And you want to get to the point where you start speaking life to yourself, because where you are right now, you're not going to stay there. As long as you speak life to yourself, you'll get to where your words are. In other words, your words become who you are. If you speak life, that's what you'll get.
That's right.
Right. I'm the one that always gives you the equipment that you need, the tools that you need. At the beginning of the year, for the past few years, Lawrence and I will sit down on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon after church, and we'll create a vision board for the year. I like to challenge everybody. If you've never done a vision board, you need to do
That's
a vision
right.
board. What you see will change when what you see begins to change. And what I mean by that is that if I keep seeing myself one way with the negative words, if I keep seeing myself unemployed, if I keep seeing myself in bad relationships, if I keep seeing myself living in a certain place, none of that is going to change until I begin to see myself in a different place. One of the things that Lawrence and I love to do every time we go out of town to different places is we like to find someone that's local. When we go to the Bahamas or Jamaica or wherever we go, we like to get somebody local to take us around. One of our favorite things to do is to go and look at houses. And we will just go look at these beautiful homes and just awe in them because they are so glorious and so magnificent. And that helps us to see
That's right.
things differently. So when you come back home and you start cutting out the pictures for your vision board, these are the things that you want to see in your future self.
That's good.
If you want a bigger house, cut out a picture of a
Elisa
bigger
has
house.
to decorate, though.
If you want more money, cut out pictures that remind you of being able to make more money. Cars. One of the pictures that I cut out was for us to be able to travel. And I think I did it, 2 years ago on a vision board?
2 years ago.
That I cut out pictures of different places that I wanted to travel. And for the past 2 years, we've been able to go travel to different countries.
Wow.
Because I saw myself doing those things 2 years ago. This was one of the things that was important to me. So if you haven't done a vision board, if you've never done that, take an afternoon, sit down, put magazines in front of you. You want a big poster board. Some of you may be able to do it on your iPhone or your Android phone. You can create the same type of vision board digitally. I like a visual. I like a board in front of me because what I do is I look at that board every single day. I've got pictures of cars that I want, pictures of places I want to go visit, pictures of me being happy in love with my husband.
Oh,
I have
boy.
pictures of family, pictures of love, pictures of me being healthy. All of that is on my vision board, and that vision board is in front of me every single day.
That's powerful. I'm going to give you something else. So she just gave you some equipment to help, and I'm going to give you some tools of empowerment to help.
That's good.
A lot of times when we're talking about this old me and new me, there are some very simple changes that you can make. A lot of times, I am a person that learns and talks by association. So that what happens is, if I see something, I immediately link that to everything that I associate with that one thing. And so I form an image based on what I already know about something familiar. Well, what happens is, when you're ready to disassociate yourself with something, you have to create new images and
Right.
new associations.
Right.
So here's some very, very simple homework. If you always wear blue, why don't you put on a dash of yellow and just see how that changes your image? If you always wear your part on the left, why don't you get bold and put one in the middle and just kind of lay your hair to the side and see? If you're always going the same route to school or to class or to
another
work,
route.
take another route and see something different. If you're always, I read something, somebody was always saying, oh, I'm sorry about being late. I'm sorry that I was able to do this. I'm sorry that I only was able to blah, blah, blah. And she said, I took out my sorries and I started saying, oh, I'm so thankful that you guys waited on me because I had some other things to do. Or I'm so thankful that you guys, I got the opportunity to work with you guys and get this to you all. She started changing just the way that she was addressing things and watching it. If your habit is to come home, unwind by watching TV and fall asleep, and then you if you always wake up and you're being sluggish, at some point you should change that. You should say, you know what, let me do something different. I'm going to come home this time and I'm going to do something a little bit different. Hold on one second. You got it? We good? All right, we're back. So if you are always doing the same thing, you'd be so surprised how just simply changing the dynamics of what you do all the time just a little bit will change the whole way you think about things. So I challenge everybody. If you usually walk in a store and you just zone in, you gotta go get and you get back out. Why don't you take time, go through the aisles and go speak to people. Speak to the cashier as you walk in. Hey, how are you doing? You might find that some of the old reserve and shyness that you had in the old year, stuff might start to dissipate because you're doing something new. You're challenging yourself to evolve into the new person that you are. And so instead of just trying to kill your old habits, if you start replacing them with new ones, then you'll see that you're doing something a whole lot different and you'll start to change.
Right.
That's great. I have nothing else to say. Y'all are just the bomb, man. Just flow, just make it happen.
Well, what we don't want to do is tire you guys out. What
Right.
we do want to do is just to make sure that you guys were enlightened, equipped, encouraged, empowered. We're so glad that you all are continuing to come in, and we really, really want you to stay tuned because we have some powerful things
Coming
for
up.
people that is coming up very, very soon, and we do not want you all to miss it.
I want y'all to show some love by hitting that screen, sharing the video, sending your friends to the My Relationship Movement page, get them to sign up. We are so grateful. We did reach over 1,000 people on the My Relationship Movement.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks
Facebook.
to all of you, and we're still looking to do some great things in the future. I love the fact that y'all are hitting that screen. If we're blessing your life, y'all make sure y'all hit that screen, show some love. But I really want you to share it. Seriously,
Share
I really want
this
y'all
video.
to share it. I really want you to really understand our job, again, enlighten, equip, and empower. And that's what we're really trying to do. That's just our life calling.
Well, we're excited about the new you in 2017. And so we want you, the new you, to bring yourself to My Relationship Movement so we can keep the momentum going and encouraging you guys to be the best you. And now we always end with a word of affirmation. And it's about yourself. And some of you all that always join us should know what this is.
Say it
And
to
it's
yourself.
very, very simple. I am worth the investment. Thank you guys.
Good night.